Welcome to another edition of Pinot with Pag and Panettiere, brought to you by the folks at Enable. We discuss the critical role that MSPs play in the small business ecosystem and where your business could be heading next to succeed. Got a question for us? Post it in the comments area and we'll try to cover it in a future edition. John, great to see you.
Joe.
Face to face.
Live and face to face. We've done...
Actually, I got to redo that. That was
that was terrible. There we go. That's
terrible.
much better.
Yeah.
So we have these things in our way.
Yeah. You know, and folks, I got to admit, we're a little punchy. We haven't had any wine yet, but I think we're a little punchy. I don't want to give it away. You give it away. Why are we here? What are we doing?
We are here, Joe, to own the cloud. We're here live in Las Vegas to have our Empower event, which is our annual partner event. We're finishing up.
Yeah. And by the way, thank you for having me. So for the viewers and listeners who may not be familiar, God, I've been going to the Enable conferences since probably the 2008 timeframe, and just a lot of shared learning and also growth and maturity in terms of the MSP population. So I love coming to this event. So thanks for having me. And we're actually, for the sake of sort of a timestamp, folks, this is the last day of the event. So it's been high energy, but we also are a little punchy from everything we've been doing. But from your vantage point, own the cloud. I wanted you to clarify that for listeners and viewers because, listen, some listeners may be like, hey, listen, we're 20 years into the cloud. What do you mean own the cloud? This isn't just a SaaS resell conversation. What's the conversation here?
No, sure, and thanks. So it's really about framing up this concept for our MSPs that the cloud is here, obviously,
right?
But it's multifaceted, and they're just somewhere along the journey. And we really wanted to open their eyes on the different avenues that they'll need to help monitor, manage, secure, and monetize the cloud, right? So we often think, and in my keynote, I talked about where are we in the adoption curve and the adoption part of the cycle,
right?
And we often think M365,
right?
And when I asked at the keynote, hey, who's wrapping a managed service and provided M365 to their end customers, all the hands went up, right? And we know that at the SME, it's probably closer to 80, 90% or on Office 365. But then, Joe, when we start talking to them about managing other elements of the cloud,
right?
Cloud infrastructure, SaaS applications, and we ask that same question, we're only getting about 20% of the folks to raise their hand saying, yeah, I'm monitoring it, I'm managing it, I'm securing it, and I'm monetizing it.
Right.
And so Empower this year is really about owning the cloud in all dimensions, fulsome, to really take advantage of this huge opportunity. Right. And for those listening at home, you hear some trucks and other machinery going down. We're really tearing down the joint, Joe.
Well, I think it's just the opposite. Like on the one hand, yeah, there may be some tearing down going on, but on the other hand, there's construction going on. Yeah, and what I mean by that is you already have, and forgive me if I get the exact product or service name wrong, but Cloud Hub. You shared some details in terms of where that's going, but then you also had sort of a teaser alert in terms of what's going on behind the curtain here. What are you building? Cloud Asset Manager or Management?
That's right.
I think.
Cloud Asset Manager.
So let's start with Cloud Hub. Just recap for us. I know you had done an acquisition, but you've also done some R&D. What is Cloud Hub, and do I have the name right?
Yep. Excuse me. It's Cloud User Hub.
Cloud User Hub.
So earlier this year in July, we acquired a company called SpinPanel.
Right.
And what SpinPanel has done a fantastic job is built effectively an automation platform that allows MSPs in an automated fashion using command blocks to provision, onboard, offboard, and securely configure M365 users. So what does that mean? It means what used to take MSPs hours or weeks to onboard an SME is now taking them minutes to help them onboard and provision. And so wherever you automate, by the way, you're standardizing. Wherever you're doing that, there's better controls, more security. So that's what Cloud User Hub is.
Okay. And if I'm an MSP who has not embraced Cloud User Hub yet, you've got the two RMM platforms. Are you doing integrations? Are they there yet? Are they coming? What's up there?
No, great question. Yep. And so initially, we wanted to get this technology into the hands of MSPs ASAP. That's a lot of there's a lot of letters for you.
No.
And so right now, it's a standalone offering. The need is there, and so whether you're a large MSP with hundreds of technicians or right down to a couple person shop, the need was there. So we put the standalone offering in people's hands now. They can try it where it's effectively in a beta that we're learning from the MSPs.
Okay.
But yeah, the roadmap down the road is to integrate that into both our Incentral and our Insight platform.
Got it. Excellent. Okay. And then you have, I'm going to get the name wrong.
CAM.
CAM. Yeah, that's the acronym. Yeah, you guys are infamous for the acronyms here.
Yeah, we love our three-letter acronyms here at Enable.
Yeah, Cloud Asset Manager?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so now what's interesting about this, I remember when you did the Spin Panel deal. I had covered Spin Panel before you acquired it, and I remember some clues about how they're not just SaaS, they're infrastructure as a service, and they really understand that. So I knew there was sort of this part 2 coming. Tell us about this part 2 with Cloud Asset Manager management.
And so look, the acquisition was a perfect fit. Great team,
right?
Great technology, purpose built for the MSP. And you're exactly right. The technology, while the first use case is M365, it's built to help with MSPs manage Azure, as an example. So the platform's there, and now it's up to us to just effectively surface these other services, right? So with Cloud Asset Manager, we're going to give MSPs the ability to monitor and manage Azure instances, for example, and whatever workloads might be in the Azure cloud.
Got it.
Why Azure and why M365? Joe, most of the channel has some level of service and support with Microsoft, and we wanted to go where that adoption is and give MSPs an area that they can actually help monetize and then pull infrastructure that might be in a private closet somewhere at their customer or a private cloud at an MSP and put it more into a public cloud so that they can evolve their business faster.
Got it. Okay. Actually, I'm flashing back to your keynote now because you made the point about manage everything, which we're sort of discussing right now with these new cloud tools because you already have the on-prem stuff. And then the other key points you made were secure everything, and also meet the MSP and engage the MSP and align with the MSP in terms of their definition of success. Whatever journey they want to go on, you want to be sort of that partner in the same car, helping them to guide their car to that definition of success. So with those 3 points, we covered the manage everything, but secure everything. One of the questions I did want to ask, I know you've had a lot of momentum with like endpoint detection and response and that OEM relationship with SentinelOne, but there are some clues. This is public knowledge, so I'll ask it.
Sure.
You shared it on stage, so I'm sure it's okay to mention in the podcast.
Sure.
You guys teased that in a good way, I'm using tease in a good way, that you're going down an MDR path in terms of partnerships and going to help the MSPs with response.
Right.
Anything you can share there, or is that all you can share so far?
No, so happy to share. And so what we're finding is, and in my keynote we talked about, we had this concept of owning the cloud, Joe, and we were playing with this concept of that cockpit, that fighter pilot, and it's not the plane, it's the pilot.
Right.
And the pilot needs a wingman. Mm-hmm. Or a co-pilot to help them a lot of times cover their flank, watch their blind spots, right? That's what a good partner does. What we're finding with MSPs in this complicated, ever-evolving world of security and layered security, that depending on the MSP, they need help.
Yeah.
And that help a lot of times is in the shape of service and enterprise-grade software, which we provide. But sometimes they need a little bit more. They need a service. And so depending on where the MSP are in their journey, the level of investment that they made, we want to be able to give them a couple of offers. So behind this curtain are different levels of security operations firms that provide a little bit. We partner with some of those, but we also partner with SentinelOne, and SentinelOne has a managed EDR service.
Right.
So if you're an MSP and you've deployed EDR, but you're struggling to help decipher some of the signals and some of the alerts that you're getting, and you just need an augmented staff to help you with the security angle, SentinelOne has an offering called Vigilance. And so SentinelOne and Enable are partnering together to bring Vigilance to market to help MSPs with two of those wins that I keep talking about, right? You have labor scarcity, you have security. So if I'm an MSP and I'm struggling to provide the right level of SLAs, making sure that I'm properly understanding the alerts, well, now you can augment with SentinelOne. So that's a good combination where we're putting that intelligent expert in connection with that software and giving a better outcome for our MSPs, which then in turn provide a better level of security and service to their customers.
Excellent. All right. Well, we'll be watching on that. So here's a transition for you.
Yeah.
And you're reaching for the wine.
Listen, what is this called?
Pinot at Pag.
Pinot at Pags, and we haven't done any Pinot yet.
Yeah. Let's do some Pinot, and I actually have a transition for the Pinot. It's a little cheese. We don't have any cheese, but it's a little cheesy.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. What do we have today? Bread and butter.
Bread and butter.
So my last name is Panettiere. For those who don't know it, in Italian, allegedly, as if I know the Italian language, which I don't, but allegedly in my family, that means bread man. So I've always been touched by that, and I show up today, and there's a bread man wine here, which is very cool.
Yes, well, I can confirm,
Yeah.
for someone who speaks Italian, pane
Right.
is bread, and the panettiere is the guy who's delivering the bread. So,
There you go. Yeah.
so the bread, that makes me the butter.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Sweetness.
Salute.
Yeah.
This is,
Now, I did want to salute someone or a group of people.
please.
Here's who I want to salute. So there were multiple M&A panels here. And I don't want to pretend that every M&A goes well and every M&A makes an MSP rich. That's not the point. But I will salute the MSPs in terms of raising their valuations. We've tracked 850 M&A deals so far on Channel E2E this year, and we're only in October. So we're on pace, John, to maybe track about 1,200 for the year. And I just want to salute all the MSPs that are sort of navigating this next stage in their business. So
Yeah.
salute to those who've been kind enough to tell us a little bit about their M&A deals and what are they doing in terms of this next stage. But now the wine isn't frothy, but is M&A frothy? What's your thought there? And when, listen, for those who are familiar with the Wall Street jargon, and it's 90% of you, but then there's a 10% of like frothy. What the hell is he talking about? Valuations, like does the cup runneth over right now, and it's a little out of hand.
Yeah, look, so we have one of the surprises from this great Empower event show has actually been how top of mind M&A is and continues to be. We have, with Empower, you've been here, but for those of you who are not able to attend, come next time. But we have different tracks. We have business tracks and technology tracks. One of the business tracks we had was on M&A and mergers and acquisitions and the do's and don'ts and lessons learned from previous folks, because it's this fantastic learning curve that happens.
Yeah.
And for most MSPs, they get to do it once.
It's a one-time event for most, absolutely.
Right? And so when you're talking about learning curve, where's that curve coming from if it's your first event? So we put this track together to share the trials and tribulations, the wins and the losses, because there are some, and you're right. And that was actually one of our most attended talk tracks that we had. It was full house every time. We had several different speakers, not just folks from Enable, but folks from the community, buyers and sellers, and we actually did a speed dating M&A session, which was widely attended. But you're right, Joe. Even though we had that track, it surprised me how frothy and how top of mind M&A was. And just a couple of things for those listening in. It continues to be frothy. Obviously, we have rising interest rates, so that makes it a little bit of a challenge, but it continues to be frothy and really attractive because the quality of earnings of the MSP community just gets better and better.
Right.
And what do I mean? But it's the recurring revenue that we always talked about. It's the size and the level of the customers. It's the retention of the customers, how they're growing their customer base. The industry's been evolving and growing, and it's been a beautiful thing, and that results into a bunch of more and more M&A and better valuation. So I'll second the salute and cheers to the MSP community there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will recap a few of the questions that I heard during the M&A panels,
Yes, right.
which were great, by the way, and it really was truly partners and or investors who were driving these panels. So it was people who were in the game, right?
Yeah.
And I use the game in a very respectful manner. Like, they're not playing games. This is serious stuff. And so a few questions I heard. Have we reached the top of M&A activity? My knee-jerk reaction, just to let you know, when we launched Channel E2E in like 2015, 2016, we had data that said M&A would just, in the SMB market overall, not just IT, but SMB M&A, just based on demographics and age of ownership, it would grow very significantly through 2022 and level off. Here we are in 2022. Will it level off? I don't know. I think we're at pretty high numbers now in terms of activity, but it's not going away. Even if it levels off or comes down 10%, it's still a massive amount of buyers and sellers doing activity. So that's great. Valuations, I am hearing like, hey, things are finally leveling off, but they're leveling off at a high multiple. Like, it's not like they're leveling off at a 52-week low high, folks. They're at a 52-week high and leveling off, so to speak. So
yeah,
similar to what you're hearing, or not at all?
No, I continue to see. I agree with you. I don't think we're at its peak. I I think the deals will get a little bit more selective to make sure that they're good.
Yes.
But here's the interesting thing, right? And people ask me this all the time when I'm talking to Wall Street folks or other folks. They're like, hey, John, does this mean that the market's shrinking? And I actually say, no, it's actually the opposite. As we see more and more M&A, that means maybe the number of MSPs at the high end might be consolidating. But our market, guys, it's really defined by the SME IT spend.
Yeah.
And when MSPs are getting larger, they're servicing bigger and bigger enterprises. In this room that we had here in Vegas, we had MSPs that were servicing Fortune 1000 companies.
Yeah.
And so the fact that these companies are consolidating, it means they're going further up market, which leaves plenty of room for new MSPs in the market to come in and start servicing small, medium enterprises. So the market overall is growing as a result.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's important when we all throw around the word. I use it as well, consolidation. When we say consolidation, it's not about shrinking; it's about coming together.
Yeah,
companies are coming together, and there's a greater net result out of all of that. So, all right, listen, I think we covered many of the main points I wanted to cover, but here we are. It's the final day of the quote unquote trade show, but your elites are here, and your top end partners are here. What are you hearing from them? Like, I know you met with them before the event, and now you're meeting with them again tonight and tomorrow. Without giving away any quote unquote company secrets, what's sort of the buzz among your elites, your elites? And define elite for us. What does it mean to be an elite?
I was going to go there. So we have 25,000 MSPs that we're servicing all across the globe.
Right.
And we like to say we like to meet the MSP where they are on their journey. So some folks, I was speaking with a husband-wife couple last night. They're a 3-person shop from Colombia, actually, and they're beginning their journey, and they're at one part. Our elites typically are MSPs that provide a level of licensing with Enable, frankly. That really reflects probably that top 10% or so, that top 2,000 to 2,500 MSPs that we have under management that are effectively at scale, and they continue to grow their business. And so it's a little bit of a different conversation. They're looking at being the acquirer. They're looking at potentially growing an MSSP business, adding a SOC and things of that nature. But for the most part, the needs are the same. They're looking at growing their business. Probably the biggest difference is on our larger MSPs. They have a sales team, and it's all about, okay, how do I focus and grow 2023? And a lot what I'm hearing in the market today is the MSPs are looking at how I can grow my 23 number by increasing services that I'm providing. So our elites are focusing on growing wallet share versus market share, because in this market, it's a little bit easier to grow your revenue from the customers that you have. So that's one of the things I'm seeing. Automation's top of mind, and probably the biggest thing when I asked MSPs in a couple of rooms today, what's your number one concern? Almost unanimously, Joe, it's labor scarcity.
Yeah.
And struggling to retain and find the right level of technician and the right level of talent and keeping them going. And that's why for us, standardization and automation is a big part of that remedy to help them do more with less.
Yep. Yeah, and by the way, so you're doing the standardization, the automation, but in terms of the actual sort of talent headcount and getting the right people in the right seats in this industry, I know since about July, at least, I think you announced a relationship with IT by Design. Recap for us, because I know they were also here in full force, and people are always wondering, okay, what exactly is going on there? What is going on there?
Yeah, it's so Sonny and his team. It's a great business, great high integrity group, and we began that partnership early this summer.
Okay.
And there's nothing nefarious or complicated or nebulous about it. It's just good old fashioned pure partnership, and really it's born from this need that MSPs sometimes need an MSP. Right. And so what the IT by Design guys do is they provide a level of staff augment. They'll help actually configure the Incentral offering as an example to make sure it's automated and configured the right way, so the MSPs that are doing maybe more value add services can focus on value add customer services, and they'll trust the IT by Design guys to kind of handle their back office. And they provide other level of different staff augment. So they're servicing the MSP community in a way that was really born out of the MSP bit, which is like a labor arbitrage and a staff augment. They're doing it for the MSPs themselves. And it's been a great partnership so far. Fantastic.
Hey, listen, I have no idea how we're doing on time, but I do want to ask you one more question.
Yeah.
Can I keep you for one more?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, and salute for one more.
Hey, this is our 7th
I heard it was sixth. I don't know.
Sixth?
So either way, we're going to be in trouble if we don't. So
It's been more than this many.
we're getting it's our seventh.
It's our seventh.
Yeah.
More than this many.
So we're getting big cue cards. It says 7. I remember George Costanza wanted to name a child 7. So for those of old to remember Seinfeld, and for those who missed it, go to Netflix or wherever it's streaming these days. But my other question is sort of about next generation partnerships, and where I want to focus that is on co-managed, where the MSP truly becomes a partner with. They're already partners with the end customer, but this co-managed relationship. How do you see that playing out in terms of MSPs co-managed with end customers?
Sure, it's and part of my keynote was talking about the 3 wins, right? And so we talk about
the 3 tailwinds.
The 3. Well, I'm going to say wins at
Oh,
first.
win, W-I-N-S.
W-I-N-D-S.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Bear
okay.
with me, Joe.
Yeah,
I'm building to
yeah.
this real cool
Yeah.
metaphor. Or
Okay, all right.
So with these 3 wins
Okay.
that are circulating, right? Security and moving to the cloud, and then labor scarcity. And what I tell folks is, depending on the way you position yourself, those wins are either a tailwind or a headwind.
Right.
And labor scarcity, I just said, was the number one headwind facing MSPs. Well positioned right, it can also be their number one or one of their better tailwinds.
Right.
And co-manages exactly the use case. So what am I talking about? When that same labor scarcity challenge that an MSP might be having, well, guess what? Mid-market enterprises are having those same challenges.
Right.
And when the vice president of IT or a CIO or the IT director of a mid-market company in your market is looking at their org chart, there's this engineer that seems to be there. His initials are TBH.
Right.
To be hired.
Right.
I joke, it's sometimes one of my more favorite engineers, but that TBH is a challenge, and they're having a hard time staffing. So that's where the MSP can use that as an opportunity and be a staff augment.
Right.
And my advice to the MSPs is pick an area that you can go in, a tip of the arrow, so to speak, so that you can go in, land, and then expand.
Right.
If it's patching, if it's a help desk, if it's a remote office, pick the area. Maybe it's a cloud.
You better be damn good at it, though, right?
Be damn good at it.
Yeah.
Show that value. It might be something like even like around the lines of cloud transformation. You want to own the cloud, help them transform and move their infrastructure to the cloud, get in, and then build that managed service with the team internally in a co-managed model. The revenues are higher, the stickiness is better, and it helps with that QOE, back to the valuation thing that we talked about earlier.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. So closing thought, Empower. Are we back? Like annual event? Is that sort of the vision going forward?
Man, I tell you, this event has exceeded my expectation. The energy in the room for the last couple of days has been fantastic. The feedback we've been getting has been fantastic. And not just about Enable, that's a good part of it, but also about getting face-to-face one another, sharing our wins, sharing our losses, right? And the MSP community is always unique in that it's really effectively a brotherhood or a bunch of camaraderie where MSPs share what it means to be winning in a certain market, and the fact that they're sharing this information. Look, we can do it virtually.
Right.
We do our Pinot Pags virtually. They're fun, they're good, but to be able to sit down with you face to face, have a real glass of wine together, we can't replace that. And I think our MSPs see that in a live event like this, and the feedback's been great, the energy's been great. I really believe it's created a bunch of buzz around the company, the industry, and will help the whole industry bring ourselves forward.
Fantastic. Well, I look forward to it'll be 2023. My brain's a little soft from your event.
Too much wine.
In a good way.
Okay.
So let's sign off from 2022 Empower and look forward to 2023. And thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here, Joe.
Salute.
Cheers.
Cheers.